All right, man.
Hey guys.
We're back up in there like swimwear.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What's going on, man? Uh, Today, man, we're going to be talking about two films involving the Il Mostro di Firenze, the Monster of Florence. Um, but first, we're gonna talk about the case quite a bit, and and I feel like we're just scratching the surface, really, because holy shit, man, this is a confusion. This is a maze of confusion. Is the best way I can describe this case, man.
It's completely insane. Because I told Dirk about this case fairly recently, but I've been following it for like years.
Yeah,
And to go in and do the deep dive that we're gonna do, I mean, I said that I got 21 pages of notes. Like, I know we can't get through everything,
right.
but man, it's just like a roller coaster ride. This case, and if you actually put this into a film with all the facts from the actual real life case into a film, people would not believe it. That's a mind blowing it is. Um, the suspects, there's like a ton of suspects.
And which
There's
version too? You know, you got. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
there's so many different perspectives and versions of everything. Evidence being tampered with, certain
Yeah.
things being highlighted to get people in trouble. Something like there's all kinds of angles to this shit, man. It's like well, we'll get into it.
We're gonna have a good go of like really dissecting the case and everything that goes with it. And we could go like because Dirk's basically read the audiobook or listened to the audiobook.
Yeah,
So he's got like a bit of a different perspective on it than I have because I watched the documentary, but I think Dirk later watched the same documentary.
yeah.
So it's
What?
going to be good because you've got
What's the name of
your.
that? What's the name of that documentary? Do you know?
It's called The Monsters of Florence with an S.
Monster. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on
Um,
YouTube, and it's a really good copy of it on YouTube too, man. Like I
yeah, it's
watched it.
almost like in high def, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the book though. If anybody's interested, highly recommend it. I actually listened to it as the audio book, and it's like almost 10 hours worth of shit. But here's the book right there. The
Nice.
Monster of Florence by Douglas Preston and Mario Spezzi. And Mario Spezzi is like he followed the case from 1974, the first murder, uh, and he was a
Yeah.
journalist. He was
Yeah.
writing about what was happening. He was be on the crime scenes like right after they happened. He'd be there, you know. And he wrote a book in 1983 as well about it. But he's the
Didn't
one
he?
that came up with the name, the Monster of
Yeah,
Florence,
he
the
thought he was.
Monster di
Yeah.
Firenze. Yeah,
I
so
think he may have updated the book as well in the late, like middle 2000s or something. I think he updated the book because
okay,
there was so much happening. Even up until like 3 or 4 years ago, there was different like things happening in this case. Suspects and different suspects were being put forward.
yeah,
This whole case is shrouded in mystery though because of the tampering. And it's all there, like that you can't deny that the higher people, higher up of the Florentine people, were covering things up. There's no doubt,
yeah.
with all the evidence.
Definitely somebody
Um,
was doing things behind the scenes. Hold on, let me catch the chat right quick. We
yeah,
got we got like uh, my beautiful wife. She says this is going to be really fun and interesting live, y'all.
yeah,
Interesting live. Tap and enjoy. Appreciate it,
yeah. What's up, Tash?
and I love my wife dearly. Gore Guts 77, lazy fat boy day with the fellas talking about murder, death, kill. Let's go. Yeah, and this is a little
Absolutely.
different, man, because it's the shit we're talking about is all real. Like we don't know the order, we don't know like
Yeah,
100% how everything went down, but we do know like quite a bit. That I mean, holy shit, this has been an undertaking to dig into this, man. It's pretty
it's
interesting.
been like a week long undertaking of
Right.
like the research we've done is intense. Like
It is, man. Justin Marino, what's good, boy? Boss,
hey
what's
man.
going on, man? Welcome to the panel of pain. We got
Hey,
in here. What's happening, man? Uh, let's see. Danny Dundada. Hell yeah, man.
what's up, man?
Darren is the killer, just as he is the president of the Peter Bart fan club. And
Well, I wouldn't like to be the Monster of Florence.
no,
Like,
no,
not see in this case,
yeah, it's pretty twisted. Uh, let's see. Everybody's saying, hey. Let's see. Got Chris in here. Hi, everyone. Hit the like and sub. Appreciate it, man.
What's up, Chris?
Uh, let's see. I like this Jalo quite a bit. Okay. Hell yeah. Yeah. Stuntman Mark. The
What's up,
movie,
man?
aka Night Ripper. I got the Blu-ray back in February. Yeah, it is. And
This is confusion though, because if you've got the Vinegar Syndrome
yeah.
Blu-ray, that's a different film. That's Night Ripper. That's just like an ordinary shitty slasher.
Yeah.
This is called Night Ripper as well, but the
Right.
Blu-ray to this is Germany, and yeah, I didn't bring it in. I got it.
He might have that one though, because
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Has he got that one, or has he got?
well, he
'cause if
probably does, because Mark gets a lot of stuff from Germany.
Yeah. If it's got the yellow cover, then
Yeah.
it's this film. Yeah,
Right. Okay.
but it is confusing with the title.
Yeah, man. But yeah, so I guess I could start off with. We're gonna start off with the case, man, a little bit. There
He has
was
got the German blue. I just seen now. Yeah, Matt.
so here's just I got a couple like here. Check this out. So this is like all the murders that took place. So it's 8 of them total, right?
Yeah, eight couples slain.
Yeah. So the one in the middle in the purple with the purple is 1968 double murder. They didn't link that to the 1974 until later.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, like you say, this has been like a 50-year cold case. You've got eight couples murdered. All the females seem to have been, or most of them were like all their genitals were basically mutilated. I think he failed to do it in one of the killings because a car was coming along at the same time. And he had to get away.
Basically this is what happened. So couples were like older people, I guess in their 20s, and even like older adults, like young adults. I mean, lived with their families. It's like a tradition in Florence. I don't know if that's all over Italy, but I know that they lived with their parents longer, and to get away, they would get away, and they'd all make out and get it on in secluded, isolated places.
Right.
And that's what was happening. But then the monster, or monsters, I mean, we don't know for sure, attacked them while they were at their most vulnerable, while they're getting it in. But yeah, it's pretty jarring to think about.
Yeah, basically, it's insane, like this case, because even that first murder wasn't even linked. The 1968 murder wasn't even linked to the case until later on, because like they thought the first one was like the 1974. But yeah, you've got so all this was going on, right? So I think the murders ceased in about 1986. But you've got there's 3 guys that are main suspects at the time, and that was Petro Pacchiani, Giancarlo Lotti, and Mario Vanni, and they were dubbed the Picnickers.
The picnicking friends.
Right. Yeah. They were all perverts. They all had like
so that's
basically a history with the police as well.
That's what I forgot to mention. So while everybody's getting it on in these cars, you had these voyeurs, these perverts, sexual perverts that wanted to spy on people while they're getting it on. Well, then you had these other people that were watching. They were watching the voyeurs to blackmail their ass.
So, right. Yeah.
so it's a twisted damn thing, man. So they would they would be taking pictures of people that are watching couples have sex and be like, and then call them up on the phone or send them a letter and say, look, I know what you did. If you don't want your wife, family, and your employer to know, you'll give me this so much money and all this shit. And they called those the good cars too. So anybody
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
and also the good cars were the people they thought were attractive that was getting it on. Like and
Right. Yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
had
yeah.
like an auction going on. They had walkie talkies and shit. It was like some wild shit going on, man.
All this shit was going on during the years of lead as well in Italy. So you had
Yeah,
politicians being kidnapped. You had like people just getting killed up on the street. And in amongst that was the Monster of Florence. And I think even now it's hailed as like kind of like the Jack the Ripper case in the UK, because how no one's been successfully convicted of this crime. Although you could say the one guy was, which we'll come into later, or a couple of them were, but they got off because the killings kept happening while they were in jail, which makes
yeah,
it even more like scary. But you've got the whole thing with the satanic, black rites as well comes into play, which is crazy because at the time there was a lot of orgies going on and there was black magic rites going on in all the villas in and around Florence.
yeah.
And then that's completely linked, I think rightly so, to these cases. But yeah, Dirk's got a completely different angle on this, so it should be crazy, man. I Because the thing that comes to mind with this, so you've got all that going on. You've got the three picnickers, who I said, the one was a family labourer, the one was a postman, and the one was a quarry worker. So in 2001, a chilling anonymous phone call, right, opened up the case again, like this new lead. And the guy on the other end of the phone just sounded like this devil type voice, and he said, "You will be sacrificed in the name of Satan, like the great Dr. Naducci," and he's going to come into play a lot because they think he was either the Monster of Florence himself or he was a part of it. And basically, he was a doctor who miraculously, like, just ended up dying for no reason. No one knows why. He was found drowned. But there's
But then
controversy in that as well.
they did further investigation on him and found out he was strangled. You know,
Yeah, yeah. So the controversial thing about that is his body. There was photos taken at the time of his body dead, lying on some kind of jetty, and you could tell the body was completely black. But someone went back and they did like some kind of investigation into it, and it was a body swap because there's no way
well,
Naducci's body was as
so
long.
you was telling me that, and then so I found out some new stuff about that, and there actually wasn't a body swap. I found
Okay,
out I found out that was bogus information from Manini. Uh,
right. So because they were saying that the body was taller, like Naducci's body was shorter than the guy, because the guy
yeah.
on the jetty had no hair, and Naducci had a full head of
He
hair.
looked burnt or something, right?
Yeah,
I
he
don't,
looked burned. Yeah.
but he
So
maybe just decomposed from being in the lake. Is that Lake Arno? I can't remember.
yeah, it's one.
Or
Yeah,
the
it's
or the river in Arno. Somebody in Italy's probably gonna be cussing me out. Like
I've got it down here
it's
somewhere.
hard to
But
remember all this shit, man. All these damn places and.
if
But
you see pictures of Naducci, there's no way that corpse could have been him because the head, it was like a kind of a big head as well on this corpse.
yeah,
They're saying like shredded in mystery because they
I
think
just found that out though right before I came on, but they discredited it because it was. I'll have to find it later.
I'd have to look into that
Yeah,
a bit more. Yeah, yeah,
about the body swap. There was several
yeah.
things with Manini though, and uh, the head magistrate guy, like so, like. But
Right, yeah,
let me catch the
yeah.
chat right quick. Let's see. Yeah, Mark says he got the. I saw him a minute ago. I think he said he got the German blue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Definitely, that's a great release because it's got two versions of the film on the longer one as well.
Chris is asking. He says, "Night Ripper, is that the SOV film that VS released, or am I thinking of something different?"
That's the shitty slasher that's got nothing to do with this case. Like,
Okay.
yeah, that's just the run-of-the-mill slasher.
I'm really into true crime. This is Mark. So once I watched the movie, I had to look into the case. Very interesting stuff. Glad to see you guys cover this. Awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah. This one
completely
right
mind-blowing.
here, like, and there's even another angle that there's another theory that the Zodiac killer and the Monster of Florence are the same person. Have you heard that one?
I've kind of heard that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, what the hell? Like,
That would be
that's
insane to, like, I don't think that's creditable. I don't think there's
right.
any
I mean, I
way.
don't know though, but there's a whole community of people that are still trying to figure this case out, like online. There's Facebook groups and shit. There's like people doing blogs and their theories, and it's a strange one and mass confusion road, man. Like,
Didn't you say George Clooney was actually looking
yeah,
into the
George
case as
Clooney,
well
I
to see
found
if
out
he
was
could?
trying to solve this shit.
That's insane, man. I'd love to know what George Clooney come up with to see who he thinks is the killer. Because I'm going to say later on who I think the killer is. Or
Yeah,
I've got two people in mind that I think were definitely involved. But
right.
Dirk's got a different aspect. So,
And it's funny because because there is like a very logical like perspective, and then there's that's pure evidence kind of shit, and then there's another perspective like it's a lot of it's hearsay. There is some truth to it too, but then there's like the superstitious angle of Italy, like you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so it's hard to nail it down though. Who's right? Who's wrong? You know? So
No, it's like the Jack the Ripper case. Everyone's got their own like look on that and who they think the killer is.
conspiracy theories and
Yeah, the
but
Zodiac
there's
as well, Arthur Lee Allen,
right.
People think that he did it, but there's a couple more suspects that it could have been. Um,
We
this
got
one,
Brian.
just
We
you've
got
got so
Brian Goes
many.
Blue in here. What's going on, man?
What's up, Brian, man?
And let's see. I seen JT's hard discussions. What's happening, man?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah. We got quite a few people in here tonight, man. That's awesome. Yeah, we had to start a little earlier today, but let's see. Chris says on my work lunch, watching the gents talk serial killers. Yeah, I mean the
man.
Monster of Florence, man. Like I said, it's been crazy. I'm not gonna keep speaking in echoes. I'm trying not to, but I guess like you want me to go with it on with Douglas Preston and
Yeah,
Mario
you can
Spezzi?
kick off with that. Yeah.
Okay, so Douglas Preston, he wrote the book or whatever that I showed a minute ago. This one right there, him and Mario Spezzi. So when he was 13, he went on went on a trip with his family to Italy, and he loved it. And that was in 1969 or whatever. So when he got older, he's a writer, so he can live wherever he wants to. And he talks his wife into moving to Florence. So they rent this 14th century palazzo, and it's in the grove, the olive grove, close to one of the murders.
Right.
So he's a murder mystery writer, and so he finds out from people, hey, you need to talk to Mario Spezzi if you want to find all the ins and outs of police proceedings, crime investigation, all the details of that kind of stuff. So he meets up with Mario Spezzi, and then he starts explaining to him where he lives. It's a very famous place, like
Right.
where one of the murders took place. But yeah, so they go on this big old journey, man, and they start like I guess that's he was going to write a mystery murder novel, but turn into they want to try to solve the case basically, and man, it got kind of dark for them too. They got threatened, their lives were threatened, all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, Spezzi, I was seeing in the documentary, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but
Yeah.
he actually was put in jail for, I think Dirk said, like 5 days or something, because he
Yeah.
was trying to get. So basically, the guy Narduccio I mentioned earlier who died, mysteriously drowned. he had links with this pharmacist who basically had links with Spetsy, like was a good friend of his, and he wanted to get Spetsy wanted to get this guy off, and he tried to plant, I think, some kind of evidence to get this guy off, and then he got put behind, in jail. You've got the two prosecutors on the other side who are at loggerheads with Spetsy and Douglas Preston as well. So all that all that comes into play as well. But the three main suspects, I think there was a list of, I think it was 300 suspects, or it might have been a few less. But
I know
yeah,
over 100,000 people were investigated,
yeah, they were taking numbers for the
and that's
cars and
just from 1974 to 2006, I think. I
right,
believe that
yeah.
like
Um,
100,000 people were investigated, and that's mind blowing that everything's been sealed tight. You know, if it's one person that did this shit, or a community of people, like a coven, so to speak, right? Because of
yeah,
satanic
yeah,
sex and um, but the murderer, the Monster of Florence, so he removed he killed them both with a 22 caliber, and then he removed the woman's vagina, took it with him, and then
yeah.
in later murders he took a piece of her breast. So it's like he was experimenting almost like. And then there's other murders where one murder where he inserted a dried out grapevine in one
That's
of the
right.
victims,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he also and that was the French lady. That right? No, I'm mixing them up. There's one lady. I think it's the last murder.
This was what. Yeah, the French ones was the last one, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. So he stabbed her 97 times, but a lot of the stabs were like pokes, because a
Yeah.
lot of one of the theories is he was impotent, so he's acting out and pissed off and rage.
Right, which brings Pacquiani back into the equation because
Yeah,
this guy Pacquiani was the main suspect. So he was a right sort of nasty character. He was done a little bit later on for having sex with his two daughters. He was put in prison for that, like later on. Um, but at the time, he was thought of to be, this kind of violent. He's rumored that he killed someone back in 1951, and he had a guy called Giamparo Vigilante as well, who comes heavily into the case in later years. Personally, I think he's
but
definitely
see, I
got
didn't
something to
hear
do with
nothing
it.
about him. He didn't come out until later.
Yeah,
So there
he
in the
didn't come
book
out
that
till
I
like
read,
literally.
or
Yeah.
the book that I listened to, I should say, he's not in there.
Oh man, once you like look into that, it's almost like
Well, I mean, I
the
saw that documentary where I
yeah,
saw
yeah,
all that about him.
right. So the
It does make
profile,
sense. It does make sense.
they brought the FBI guys in, like later on in the case because they were going nowhere, and the
Right.
profile is basically this guy. Like he was in the French Foreign Legion. He killed two people in the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
He was mentally unstable. They searched his house. They
He
found
did
newspaper
sexual acts
cuttings.
in public with,
Yeah, homosexual acts in
yeah,
public.
right.
He was done for that. They found like files and newspaper cuttings and the murders. Um, and for me,
But
it's
I mean,
almost impossible to say that he wasn't involved in some way.
even the newspaper clippings, though. So I got to look at this like I'm the investigator, right? So anybody that has newspaper clippings, that don't automatically mean anything. They could just be a serial killer fan boy or some shit.
Right, but he had guns.
Pacquiao
He had,
had some shit like that in his house too, right?
Pacquiani was found, right? So later on, there's a couple of German guys, get homosexual guys.
And don't get me
that
wrong. Now Pacquiao's a big old piece of shit. Now, like
Yeah, but
I'll
he
show
had
a picture of him right quick. I got like, go ahead,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Sorry, that's him there trying to
He had a
proclaim.
lot of health issues as well because
Yeah,
he
he's
had a
trying
bad
to
heart.
proclaim his innocence. He's holding a picture of Jesus, but he basically constantly raped his daughters and beat
Yeah.
his wife. He was very abusive. Uh,
When
yeah,
it comes to this case, I don't know whether he's involved. I don't think it was just him on his own because in one of the murders, one of the young guys get away. One of the young couples, the male gets away, and someone would have had to have been running after him to catch up with him, unless there was more than one. But I mean, that's a possibility. They all think there could be up to 3 people, and with the body parts going missing as well from the women, so that ties into like the sect where they think this coven of like a witch. This one guy is aunt and uncle basically were the heads of this coven, and they had links to all these people, high up in power in like Florentina. And it was rumored that the body parts were being used in black masses.
Right. That's what Manini believed too, and that's
Right,
what.
I think so as well.
But that's what there's a lady, Gabrielle Carlizzi. She believes she's the one that told Manini all this, and he stamped, signed, and sealed everything she said. She was basically like Rasputin, like the muse, and that's
Right,
he got in trouble for his abuse of power during all this shit, But it's like Spetsy he didn't believe that at all. He didn't think that held any water. Like
the thing, because the guy's still alive now, the nephew of the aunt who's running this coven, he's heavily featured in the documentary,
right.
and he gives like vivid accounts of everything that was going on. His sister,
but then again, like I said, I always try to take hearsay, because what is this guy doing? He's restoring frescoes, right? That guy, maybe he's trying to get some notoriety. Maybe he's trying to get paid.
But
and same with Spetsy, same with Douglas Preston. I'm just saying, like, I don't know who's telling the truth, who ain't telling the truth.
Well, I'll put it this way, right?
What's that?
I'll put it this way, right? So,
yeah,
his sister, who was heavily involved in the case,
mm-hmm.
her and her husband both got killed, like, mysteriously. They were both like burnt out in the back of the boot of the one's car, the male was. Yeah. He was about to come out. Her husband was about to come out of prison. The day before he got hung in prison, I think it was, or one of them. So I think it's 4 or 5 deaths to that family alone. So this guy, the nephew, who's still alive. He fears for his life. I know he's come on camera and all that. But how do you explain that? 5, and none of the murders can be explained. They're all like cold cases. So, yeah, I think there's something in it. I do. I really do. I don't think he knows an awful lot because he was so young at the time.
I think he said he was 6 or something, right?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little older, but his sister was quite a bit older than him, and she knew everything. She was about to come out and go to the press and tell everything that she knew. And then the next day, right, or the day before she's going to come out to the press, she ends up dead with her 3-year-old son. Both killed in the car.
Burned in the car, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that you just can't explain that, And that's just one part of this. There's a lot of people that got killed. There's dozens and dozens of people just mysteriously got killed linked with this case.
So do you truly think that there's like some kind of Illuminati type organization, like, you know what I mean, that did
there has to be, though. I think there has to be, because there's
just
so many things.
I still gotta keep, like, keep focused, you know what I mean? Like, I there's more to learn, though. There's so much more in diving in this case.
So like I said earlier, with the German, basically 2 German homosexuals got killed. It's rumored that the actual killer thought they were a couple. He thought one was a woman, but they were parked right on the outside of this big villa where they held the orgies and black masses. I think that's one hell of a coincidence, but then you've got the opening kill, the 1968 kill, come into it when I think the bullets were sent in, weren't they? Or they found the bullets in maybe a case file or something.
And they found them in a case file. That was, but then again, it goes back to that guy, the head magistrate guy.
Right. Yeah.
What's his name? You got his name?
Oh man, I got so many names written
Guattari.
Yeah, Guattari. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. Like, so I guess we could start with the 1968 murder, right? Um,
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
so there's a guy. What's his name? Uh, damn, I got that. It's so many names, man. Hold on. Stefano Mele, right?
Yeah,
So
Melly, yeah.
yeah, he's got a wife, and she is like a big old whore, and she's like she screws all these different guys. He knows it. She's actually doing it in the same house with him, and he knows all about it. And I think he's partakes in some of this weird shit too. You find out later, but
It's pretty
so
dark, quite
she
dark.
goes off with this Sicilian bricklayer. Um, what's his name? I got it right here. Hold on. For uh, is it Antonio Lo Bianco? Is that it?
I haven't got in my because in
Oh
my
no,
notes I got the killings all in different order. Like,
hold on. I got sorry, y'all. Yeah, so it's Antonio Lo Bianco. Yeah, that's right. So she goes off with him so they can get it on and everything. She's got her son with them, and
yeah,
he's in the back seat. He falls asleep, so she's getting it on with Antonio. Her name's Barbara Lochi, by the way, and so she's getting it on with him, and just out of nowhere, boom, 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 like you see in the intro, like the killer comes up, just blows him away. The kid, gets taken away. Later on, you find out Stefano admits to the murder. He did it. But he said something very strange. Find the gun, because if you don't find the gun, more murders are going to happen.
exactly right.
So
And
that's a very
that's where the bullets got set. They found the bullets just miraculously
yeah.
got found.
So he ended up
Which
doing 14 years because of kind of like crime and passion, temporary insanity kind of deal.
yeah, yeah,
So the son wasn't actually his son because his wife was a whore, pretty much.
right,
Like,
yeah,
and so the son was. We find out later Salvatore Vinci was his father, and then the guy's name was Antonio Vinci. Uh, but he's like 6 years old, I think, when that happened. So, but that's the first murder. That's 1968. So then, exactly 6 years later, 1974. And I did find that strange. Exactly six, like that number six, right? To 1974,
right. Which ties into maybe the devil worshipping and
satanic
all that.
type shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to?
But you were saying about the little boy was right. The little boy from the first murder was in the back seat.
Yeah.
You said was like kind of a suspect at one time as well. For the later murders, I mean.
Oh, I'm not sure on that one. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I said to you, didn't I? He would have been 12 when the second murder was done.
Oh
So
yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I think that can rule him out. But I know Dirk thought
Well,
he might.
I'll
He
put it
might have
this way.
been.
I
Because
know
he had some
Mario's.
interview with Spectre, didn't he? And he looked a bit dodgy.
Yeah. Well, like, so I'm kind of like, after seeing everything that I've seen, like right now, as things stand right now, I kind of go with Mario Spezzi and Douglas Preston's all their research they've done, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just go and spoil it. They think that it's Antonio Vinci, without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
And there's, like, I'm kind of rushing and going past a lot of shit, but they go to interview him later on as he's older and ask him dead straight to his eyes. They're like, "Are you the Monster of Florence?" And he says, he hesitated and says no. And then, like, after the interview, because he said that the only memory he had of his mother was seeing her murdered, right?
Right. Yeah.
But when they were leaving, he leaned into Spezzi and told him, I don't play games, So I don't know.
I think he was just fucking with them, to be honest, because it's highly improbable that he did the 74 murder, because he would have been 12. There's no fucking way.
I
I
don't
don't
know,
think
man.
so.
I think a 12-year-old could kill somebody. I really do.
Well, calculated though, the way
With
I
a
don't know.
22, I mean, maybe if if he was led by like this group of people you're talking about, right? Maybe
I mean, it's theoretically possible, but I think it's highly unlikely. But
because at
that's the beauty.
22,
That's the beauty of this case, I think.
yeah. But I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I'll have to look into that more. But like I said, this thing is pretty crazy. But for them to put their name on it, like, damn. And then all the evidence points to him, is what they were saying in the book.
He
Like,
might know something. I wouldn't be surprised if he knows something because
yeah,
word gets round. If he could very well be like he knows someone who did it. Like that could be the case. I think more than likely,
right.
rather than him. But Spetsy, like you said, he's a complete diehard with the case. He knows everything.
That's what I'm saying. He's the one that named him the Monster of Florence. He's the one.
Right.
He was at every crime scene. He was at every damn he was covering this son of a bitch. Like, and he even put Manini and Guattari to shame, dude. Like he represented himself when he was locked up, and they freed him from when he went to court, and he started pointing out Manini and Guattari's. He said he called it half-baked police work. That's one of the things he said. It was half-baked police work. It was.
So is Spetsy still alive now today?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that.
So I'd like to see what he thinks now with all the updates to the case in recent years and that.
Right. He said, and so Manini arrested Spetsy because he said he had a disinformation campaign going against him.
Right, which makes sense because he was trying to get the pharmacist, Narducci's pharmacist friend, off as being a suspect. So he was trying to interfere with,
But if you look into Gabriella Carlizzi and listen to some of the shit she says, this is the woman that was in Manini's ear. Like you will be like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? Like she's pretty out there. I don't know, man. But like I said, in my opinion, we're just scratching the surface of this damn thing.
So during the 80s, these killings then started to become a bit more, regular.
Right.
I think the next one after the one Dirk just said was in 81. And it was Susanna Cambi and Stefano Baldi were the two who got killed. She had her genitals were mutilated and taken away from the crime scene, but they did actually find a size 44 boot print. And they did actually.
So that would be like a size. That'd be like a size 13 here.
Yeah. Well, but what's significant about that is the evidence of that didn't come to light till like recently. So it was found to be from a French boot that could have been worn by someone in the military in France, which this one guy is basically, from the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
But the thing with that as well is they did get a peeping Tom. They did put him in jail for that, but he had to be released when the killings kept going. But that evidence didn't come to light till like recently. So
like 2017, right?
Yeah. So I'm thinking almost definitely, I think I got the guy who's done it, to be honest. But we'll see. But so that was, they started to become frequent then after that. You had one in 82 as well, June of 82. And it was always on a new moon as well.
Yeah, basically no moon is in the sky.
Yeah. I've heard someone say a new moon, someone say no moon.
No, I mean, a new moon is a no moon.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying there's no moon in the sky. It's
called a new moon, is it?
It's called the new moon, but there's no moon in the sky, so it's pitch fucking black. Dark.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
Exactly the same.
So I think I'm always trying to think like, what if somebody set that guy up? You know what I mean? There's no fucking way to really know. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
like I said, Spetsy could be wrong. You know, like I'm not saying that he's 100% right, but I'm just saying,
But I think when the police were kind of honing in on who they thought was right and they were getting close, then these mysterious phone calls were coming in and letters were coming in saying, like, putting them
yeah.
off the scent,
Well,
just completely throwing it. Yeah.
the last murder, 1985, he sends. I wrote that down. Let me. Sorry,
No, carry on, man.
uh, he sends a. I'm trying to. I want to make sure I got the woman's name right. Uh, hold on. Shit, I can't find it right now. But basically, the Monster of Florence sends a piece of the breast.
Oh, you got Nadine Marriott and
Yeah,
John
that's her name.
Michael
Yeah,
Cavalinci. They were a French couple. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm saying he sends her breast, a piece of her breast to. Uh, who's he send it to? You remember?
It was either to the police or to the newspaper, something like that. Yeah.
He sends it to. Hold on, I got it right here. I'll find it. Sorry. Uh, yeah. So the monster sent a taunting note with Marriott's breast to the state prosecutor,
That's
uh,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Sylvia Della Monica. He wanted his foreign victims found. So,
Right. Yeah.
because the last victims were French, and there was nobody filing a missing persons case on them because they weren't from there; they were from France. And he
They'd
wanted,
literally come in as well from France like 4 days before.
yeah. So they didn't know about all this shit. Now all the locals knew.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
all the young couples were getting smarter and not doing that shit no more, right? Going in isolated places and having sex. But these people, but Florence was still trying to keep that hidden from tourists. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the
Yeah.
Jaws scenario with the mayor or whatever, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
if you think
Yeah.
about it,
He did make his first. The killer did make, or killers did make a mistake in the 1982 killing,
yeah,
because basically he shot the two victims, Antonella Migolani and Paolo Manardi,
yeah,
but he did it in such a way where they were quite near like a public road, and he wanted to go back and basically do the genital mutilation and all that, but a car came, so that kind of scared him off from that one. So that was kind of his first
and
mistake.
they were
Um,
actually around where they were at. They were in was that 82? You said
82, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So they were Monte Spertoli. So this was like a heavy populated area where they were.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
more so. I mean, it was still isolated. They were still kind of ducked off, but there were still people around. So because they knew about the killings as well, from what I from
so
what I
yeah,
saw. And I think in that is that the 82 murder? Yeah. So
that's
there
the
was that
82.
guy survived. Minority survived,
Right.
and he was like in a coma state. He got shot in the head. When he gets to the hospital, he they were hoping to get information like that he seen the monster, but he didn't
Yeah.
survive. So, but they found a link of a watch in his hair.
Right. Yeah.
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 So
I
I guess
read
the
up on
link
that
from the
bit.
killer was in his hair or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he was kind of leaving, doing mistakes at this point, the killer.
Yeah.
But oh man, like how he got away with it as well for so long. So after that, an anonymous letter suggested to the investigators that they need to look at the 1968 crime of passion, because that wasn't even linked, I don't think, till later on. I think the 81 case maybe. But the bullets found from the case match in the Monster of Florence, like basically Stefano Melli was convicted, as Dirk said, but they actually kind of linked them together, which got him off. I know we briefly mentioned this before. Um, and then you go on to the next murder after that, which is the two German guys,
Yeah.
which is fucked up in itself as well, Um, basically, they were found in their Volkswagen camper, and there was like homosexual magazines torn up and strewn all over, the crime scene.
Yeah, the monster wasn't happy. He didn't get to do his ritual.
Right, and they did find another thing with the killer as well. So the way or the angle that he shot it through the car, they worked out that the killer could be no more than I think it's 1.80 meters tall. I don't know what that is in Italian to English, to UK or American, but a certain height he couldn't be taller. So they were getting little clues here and there.
Right.
But again, it didn't stop him. He went on.
Well, there was a guy that claimed that he did it too, right? He was.
There was a few pranks. Yeah.
Well, there was one guy that was with Pacquiani though that used to run with him during the voyeurism shit that they did.
Right.
And I think he even had sex with Pacquiani.
He did, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? He was arrested as well.
There was Giancarlo Lotti or Mario Vanni. Was it Vanni? I think that was Vanni, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I know he said that he did that murder, but he had the shit wrong, right?
Right, yeah. He basically all the stuff he was coming out with couldn't have happened. Right. But he did actually say that the tent was cut from like upwards, which he did get right.
Yeah.
But I think some of the
he was
other
probably
things,
there, but he probably didn't actually do the murder,
So what's your take on the three picnickers then? Pacquiani and the other two, Vanni and Lotti. Do you think they were involved?
They're definitely involved. And I think they're kind of like this is kind of like I kind of felt like they were a patsy, kind of like like Oswald was a patsy for JFK.
Right. Yeah.
But and maybe even that vigilante guy is a patsy. I don't know.
So the three of them were basically linked. They were linked to the high powers of the Florentine people, right? The hierarchy.
Yeah.
They used to do all these crimes, basically.
But they were like working class people, though.
Yeah. They were told to do these things, and no questions asked. And that's why I think maybe the body parts come into it. But obviously, I think Pacquiani's some way involved because of all the stuff they found. Even though the bullets were actually planted, and that was proved they were planted in his garden.
Yeah, there was like created scratches on the bullets. And
yeah. I think it's completely unfair to just basically put him on trial alone.
Especially knowing that he was a rapist. I mean,
I think he was just a scapegoat. Yeah.
None of the victims were violated that way.
But his daughters played a big part in him actually being imprisoned because they come out and give evidence in court, and his wife to say how much of a bastard he was, So that didn't help his case either. But he eventually got acquitted.
Let me catch the chat right quick. So, let's see. Denny Dondada says, "Whoa, that's sick, dude. You got to check this out." Yeah, it's pretty wild, bizarre shit, man.
Definitely go if you can. Like the book Dirk mentioned, if people can read that, and certainly give the documentary "The Monsters of Florence" a watch as well.
And there's several books too, as well. Like there's several docs out there. There's 3 movies, I believe, right? At least 3.
There's at least 3 there, and there was a TV series as well. But the 2 of them we're going to mention in a bit. There was another one called 28 Minuto, which is 28 minutes in Italian. And basically there was a lot of that was due to come out at the same time as the other 2 films in 86, but there was a lot of money. They basically funding fell through and all, and it didn't come out till 93, but it was shot in 1991. And it's got Christian Baromano in it from Tenebrae, the blonde guy from House on the Edge of the Park. So but there was a TV series as well in 2009.
Right.
On Italian.
I think it's got Antonio Banderas in it.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah.
I think he's in it. Let me. Let's see. Brian says "Killer is Still Among Us" is in the Jolly set, but where is Monster of Florence?
You'd have to get a German Blu-ray for that.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be called Il Mostro di Firenze, right?
It is, yeah, it
Yeah.
is. I've
It's
literally
in
I meant to
Italian.
bring it in. I've got it in the other room. I meant to bring it in.
Right.
If we get a chance in a bit, I'll nip out and get it.
Okay.
And it's
I mean,
fairly bright and it's fairly cheap. If you look it up on maybe Amazon German, you'll get it
yeah.
fairly cheap, I would imagine.
Gore Gut says, where do you buy all those sick German? Oh, he's talking to Mark. My bad. Let's see. Chris says it's very sad that the victims' families have no closure. Let's not forget that. Yeah, it is sad.
I mean, some of them got killed. The victims' families got killed as well.
Yeah,
There's so many like rabbit holes in this. I mean, like we're coming up to the in my notes, like going to mention the 74 murder again, but I mean, I'm on page 5 of like 21, but I know we're not going to go through everything, but
right.
that's
Hold on, just let me.
case, man.
Right. Chris says, Dirk, that's a Saints jersey. Hell yeah, man. Who that? All the way, man. You know that shit. Let's see. Okay. Anyone I could buy from currently? Anyone I could buy from currently? I don't know.
He's on about the Monster of Florence.
Okay.
I know there's a way you can watch it if you download films on a site called Realist.
Yeah.
And it's got, I think it's got both versions, Dirk, haven't it?
Yeah.
On that?
Got the international and the Italian.
But we'll come on to the film in a bit. But go for the longer version because it shows all the killings in that one. The other one's kind of watered down. But we'll come on to the two films as well. We got.
Let's see. Justin Marino says the Saints. I feel bad for Dirk this year. We'll see, man. I guess we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's not. I mean, the days of breeze are over. So we just got to do what we got to do. Let's see. Caveman Moves and More. Hey there, everyone. Please hit the like button. Yeah, man. Appreciate
it. Guy?
Yeah, and in case y'all ain't noticed, man, I went ahead and created some, put the wrenches down. So some people was asking about moderators and stuff. So.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. Danny Dundada, sick. I'm just trying to catch the chat.
Right yeah.
Got to get back to
while
work.
You do that, I'll nip out and get my copies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Pat Master already hit the like button with both my channels here. 2 likes at Caveman Movies and More. Awesome. Appreciate you, man. Let's see. Breeze was a man. Hell yeah. I appreciate it, Mark. Okay. Try not to read that. I like the Saints. I just don't like Dennis Allen. Damn good defensive coach. That's all I'll say about him. Let's see. Bobby Abear. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. I'm an old school. Like I was watching the Saints when I was a little kid. But I don't want to get on a tangent with the Saints. So, but yeah, man.
I can show the films off when we cover them, but that's like quickly if you want to do it quickly. That's the one they're on about.
Yeah, here I'll pull it up big for everybody. Check it out.
It has got like a reversible cover, so it's got Monster of Florence on the other cover.
That's the blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have got that as well, the DVD bootleg. But I got bootlegs of both of these because I really love it. I'll show them all off in a little bit closer.
Cool. But yeah, man, I'm caught up with the chat, I believe, man. Y'all don't forget, man, to do the things and all. I always do that shit and always screw it up. All right. But yeah, it's let's see, where were we at? We're on
the 84 29th of July 84 kill, I believe.
Okay. 84. So that's Claudio Stefanezza.
Yeah.
And Pia Gilda Rontini, right?
That's the one, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And she managed to get away. She was one of the females that managed to get away.
Right.
But she was actually caught up by the killer as well and mutilated. The left breast was basically taken off along with her vagina.
Right.
And I mean, I know I'm saying these, this is for viewers' discretion, really. I know some of the
Yeah,
subjects
we
we
should
can,
have mentioned that earlier. I guess. I mean,
yeah.
I know this is pretty hardcore. Uh,
But there's a
but
big clue in this one, mine. There was a big clue in this murder because um, the girl who got killed, she
mm,
actually worked in the Vicario train station bar.
yeah,
And earlier that night, a guy was seen watching her,
right.
and he was kind of like really creepy. He was watching her for hours on end.
That's what I got.
So
It was
yeah,
an ice cream parlor slash bar, and so she had been bothered. That's like her one of her close friends said that some man was bothering her or something.
right,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
and,
And the
but
guy had
that's
a big ring on his finger as well. The guy who was watching her.
yeah. But ain't there another? Uh, don't that happen again though, where somebody's being stalked and watched? Um,
It might have been no, it might have been because there's only the French one after
it
this
was
one. The
actually
last.
the 1974.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah. So he did
the
that as well then. Yeah.
Yeah, that was, and I forgot to mention that was Borgo San Lorenzo is where that happened.
Right.
Uh,
And
so
all
one of
these
her,
are like a triangle of death, basically. All
yeah,
these like murder points, they all
right,
form a perfect triangle.
right,
Um,
just like you know the removal of the vagina forms a perfect triangle
yeah, I
as
didn't even
well.
think of that. Yeah, yeah,
It's some twisted shit.
there is. If you look into this, man, um, the last murder is actually the most famous one of them all, with the because it's been depicted in The Killer Is Among Us very graphically
Oh
when
yeah,
we come onto that.
definitely.
Um, but yeah, the French couple they put up their tent in like this clearing. They'd only just arrived, 4 days previous. Um, but he managed to get away. Like I think we touched on it before. He was like an athlete, and he was shot, but he still managed to run away. But
He ran
again,
the
he
wrong
got
way.
caught up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he ran
and
the wrong way.
what
If he had ran, I
the
think
other way he
left.
would have got away.
If he'd have
Yeah,
went left, he would have made it to the main road.
right.
But he ran the
And
wrong way.
and the killer could only because he used all his bullets up. So the only way you could kill him was by slashing his throat, which was different to what he usually
He
does.
stabbed him in the back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's crazy. But what the killer done in this case was he dragged the male body, covered the face up with some kind of
with a
I don't know
paint
what
lid.
it was.
A
Paint
paint
lid,
lid.
that's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he proceeded to mutilate the French girl.
And he
And that's
made sure
shown very graphically
he
in the
didn't do
film.
it with all of them. Like, because some of the women, you know, I might be jacking this up, but he always kept like took the one. He separated the female from the man,
Right, yeah.
like at least 300 feet, and
Yeah,
then he would either drag her or he carried her in one of the murders. He carried her.
yeah. What he did with this one as well was he actually went back to the scene of the crime, which he's never done before, and he actually put the two of them back in the tent, with
Right.
so which was
Yeah.
unheard of, really, because a homicidal maniac would just leave them, wouldn't he, and he'd be gone. But he was caught. It tells you how calculated, these people or this person was.
Yeah, and then you
But
think
there was,
about this
what's,
though. Think about all the voyeurs that are out there in the hills.
yeah.
So they call this the Sweet Bloody Hills, right?
People
Or
would
the
have
hills,
known.
Sweet Blood Hills, or the I don't know, something like that. But you can think about all the voyeurs that are out there, and they all got like this for the time. They got this high dollar equipment to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
They got walkie talkies to communicate with each other. Who's to say that he's not networking with them? You know?
Right, yeah. But do you know where the conspiracy theories come in? And it comes into this murder a lot, right? So basically, and this blows my mind, right? Two bullets were found. Literally, one was in the duvet they had, and one was in like a pillowcase they had. And that evidence didn't come to light till fairly recently.
Yeah.
Which that they didn't even check. The fucking forensic people didn't even check that much until it was investigated fairly recently, and that came to mind. And
Right.
also there was a pair of surgical gloves and a
And a
bloody
tissue.
tissue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was
And that was shrouded in mystery as
Wasn't
well.
there
Because
hair? There was hair in one of the victims' hand too.
right, yeah, yeah.
But they didn't. This is early '80s, so they didn't have proper DNA forensic. You know.
So yeah, so where all that evidence becomes fucked up really is when they first took samples of the blood. They found out it was the blood of the two victims, but they found another person's blood, and
Yeah.
originally that blood type was I want to say A, or and then when they retested it, it was a completely different blood type, B, or vice versa, one or the
Yeah,
other.
so somebody's in there in
Someone's
the.
fucking up all the evidence.
Well,
That's all
there's
it
a
can
mole,
be.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's somebody involved in
yeah.
the higher ups. That's why I kind of. That's why I'm kind of like I got to lean with the journalist more than I got to lean with the magistrate and the the you know what I mean
Yeah,
the
yeah.
the minister or whatever.
And then that's where this Luciano Palatesti comes in, or Palatesta comes in with the four members of his family, pretty much all dying horrific deaths, like I mentioned. But I've got a list of the suspects if you want to go through them, like one by one.
Yeah.
So basically, the killer, he's goading the police now with these letters. He's sending them slivers of Nadine's breast. Pretty much, he sent it from San Piero a Cive, which is, I think, is like fairly like rain that way.
Hold on just a second. Hold on just a second.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
Miss Caveman in here. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? Yeah.
And then I was just trying to make sure I caught everybody. Let's see. This year, I'm officially a Chiefs fan. Okay. My son got drafted to the Chiefs. Awesome. Man. He's
Nice,
16.
man.
I heard that shit. Ethan Driscoll. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. No. So 3 other letters turned up at the investigating magistrates with a surgical glove, a 22 caliber bullet, and a threatening handwritten note saying, basically just threats and all this. Then the murder suddenly stopped. So they basically pulled up 250 suspects. We can briefly go through each one. I know we've mentioned these before. So you've got Pacchiani, the guy who said he's sex maniac. He was called the vampire. He was called Flush Face because he would get so red in the face when when he was doing these crimes.
He's red as hell. He looks like like a damn lobster.
Yeah, he was basically known as a rapist, raped his daughters. I know we mentioned that.
But you gotta take into account too, man. Like, so there's so many gynecologists that are being blamed. There's there's butchers, there's surgeons, and even priests were being blamed. There's one priest, I don't know if they said his name, but there was a priest that collected pubic hair. And he was like a high suspect as well. Like,
right.
I was like, what the shit? What the hell kind of shit is it?
It's insane, you mate, the suspect. So 38 on the list was Jim Piano Vigilante, right?
Right.
So he was a multi-murderer. His home was searched.
He killed 2 people.
And they found all these weapons.
Yeah,
he killed 2 people. He was only discovered in 2018. Like we said earlier, he was a homosexual. He was caught doing public acts.
Right.
So you've got them. And then you've even got, like, if you want to go into it, there's probably about at least a dozen, I would say, suspects who could all be credible involved.
Yeah.
But the murder that Vigilante guy done, he helped Pacchiani do a murder back in 1951. I couldn't find anything. I tried to look it up.
I did see something on that. Like, it was in 51 though.
Was he convicted? Do you know of that? Because I don't think
Pacchiani was.
He was he Pacchiani? But Vigilante wasn't.
14 years.
Yeah. So. Okay. So number 881 on the list was Francesco Narducci, and that's the guy who died. So I won't go too much into it because we covered it. August 1989. Then the investigators receive the results of the FBI forensic evidence analysis. The Italians asked basically for them to help him out. So this was the profile, right? So it's an Italian male, likely to live around the areas of the killings. He acts alone. This is what the FBI come up with, not me.
Yeah,
He may have military experience,
that was
shows
early
signs
on,
of
though, right?
sadism.
That was early on.
I think, yeah, 89 this was,
Yeah, yeah,
1989.
yeah.
So basically, he's got sexual dysfunction. He's a sadist. He never rapes the woman because he obviously he can't do anything
He's
sexually.
impotent or he's too large. One or
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
So,
And basically, what he would do is cover up the boyfriends.
yeah,
So when he was doing this macabre kind of thing with the women, mutilating and all that, he didn't like to be watched, even though they were dead, which is kind of crazy.
yeah.
But and he loves the case. He loves goading the police, and he's paying to be keeping articles and everything on the crimes. So that's what the FBI come up with, and I think that fits vigilante perfectly. And plus, you've got the size 44 boot, like a French-made boot,
Right.
at one of the scenes. That's why I think he's involved. I'm not saying it was him alone, but I do think the whole hierarchy are ordering these people to do this, or order, the murderer, the killer, to do this.
And I mean, what do you think about other people though, too? Like they're trying to maybe they're not involved, but maybe they're just trying to get money from
Yeah, of course, yeah.
like talking about this story. People in
Yeah.
positions of power, people that ain't in positions of power, people that are like maybe related to somebody that was involved in the case. I don't know. You know what I mean?
No, I completely
I'm not going to rule out anything. Like,
It's weird, right? Because every time the police were getting closer,
yeah,
something would fuck up the old evidence. Like someone was fucking up all the evidence.
right.
And it was like a game of cat and mouse. Like I don't believe the police were ever gonna. I don't think we'll ever find out at this point, unless someone comes forward.
Even
Not
if
even
somebody
sure
comes
whether.
forward, though, like, how do you
I
believe
mean,
that
yeah,
person?
exactly. You'd have to have
Mhm.
hard evidence, like, and I don't
Yeah,
know
you got to
whether.
have something, a smoking gun,
Yeah,
perhaps, because they still never found the gun.
I still think, even though this case is dated, I still think someone out there knows the killer.
Yeah.
Someone knows for sure. Someone's still alive, I think, who knows all about this. I'm not saying they were involved,
Right.
but there's people that know about this. There's
So,
probably dozens involved in this
so
as well.
I know that this inspired Thomas Harris, the guy that wrote Silence of the Lambs
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
It inspired him to create Hannibal Lecter. Uh, so that's pretty
I mean, that
mind-blowing.
story goes to Italy in Hannibal, doesn't it? I love
Yeah,
that
then he
film.
goes and films Hannibal in Florence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't put two and two together until you mentioned, like, in
The
the
man-eating
brief.
pigs too. So there is something about some man-eating pigs in the
Right.
book. Did you hear?
Okay.
Did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it's pretty wild, man. How much further you want to go into the case? You think we pretty much got it, or
Yeah, I think we got it. I'm just gonna look through to see if I don't
I
want
mean,
to
there's
miss
still
any.
a lot more we could talk about. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I
I
think
suppose we
pretty
gotta
much.
leave it. Yeah, we gotta leave it at a certain point because we don't want to tell everyone everything. We want people to like investigate this case as well.
Yeah, we
But
gotta.
just looking now if there's any things, really important things. So Pacquiao bought 2 houses, right? He bought a car and postal bonds, like in several post offices, literally days, before some of these murders. So my thing with that is, how would he have had the money? He was just a normal I think he was a postal worker. So that's where it comes into play with, does he know people hire, who's giving him a lot of money? He was buying 2 fucking houses, man. And he was just a normal average worker.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he got all kind of money, Pacquiao did.
Yeah.
I see crazy. Mark says, and I kind of thought the same too. Like, he says, I think it was probably a cop. It could probably be. It has to be somebody with some kind of authority like that, though. some kind of
I
position
think
of power.
I think it's a mixture. Probably
Yeah.
I think cops were involved. I think fucking who knows, the magistrate could well be involved. I think he's like, he was
We
linked
got
at one point.
Professor Zundap. He said, "What
Hey,
on
what's
earth?
up, man?
This isn't Among Us. Is this Among Us? No, this is actually we're going to talk about the killer still among us, but we were talking about the actual case of the Monster of Florence first, and then we're going to talk about the two films, The Killer Still Among Us and Mastro di Firenze."
But I just want to touch upon the whole
Yeah,
like satanic sort of rights elements as
satanic
well of this.
controversy, and there
Yeah,
was also seances in graveyards.
yeah,
You know about that? Like
it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So like the three original suspects, right? So you've got Vanni and Pacchiani raped the mother of this coven.
Yeah.
And they regularly raped this woman, and they were part of a criminal gang, they think, working for this coven of witches, like this guy's aunt and uncle. Several prostitutes, they started talking to the police. Gabriella was one of them. She called up Lottie to blame him, and he was being dragged into the investigation as well. So the original three kind of, were the main three suspects. I think probably wrongly so. But yeah, I'm just going through now. I don't, like you said, I don't want to spoil everything. But I do think Narducci was involved. I'm just going to say it now. I think Narducci was involved. And I think Vigilante was involved. I think that's without question because of the recent kind of evidence.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we could just say what you think now too. Who do you think it was, and your reasons and that?
I mean, like after everything, or going through listening to the book and watching that documentary. I think it had to be more than one person.
God, yeah.
To make all this, to orchestrate all this shit. Not only that, like each of the women. So the cuts were different in a couple of the cases. Like
yeah.
Did you see that? Did you find out about like
yeah.
So it looks like it was like done by different people, like all this shit. Like
I think that might have been done to confuse people as well.
Maybe so, but then also tampering like with evidence. There's so many, like the Gabrielle Carlizzi, she's obviously in it for the money, like
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, like, I just don't feel like somebody credible like Spezzi would just. I feel like he was just doing his due diligence to bring the truth forward, like the best he could.
He's the guy who knows the most. He does actually know.
They call him the monstrologer.
Yeah.
So like that's what they called him. Like,
and like you said earlier, he came up with the actual Monster of Florence, like the way. Oh man.
Right.
But yeah, like you say.
But I mean, it's hard to say, man. This is going to be one of those things, like UFOs and JFK and shit. Zodiac killer. It's just one of them oddities, unsolved mysteries, which will probably never truly 100% be solved. And even if it was, would we believe it?
Right.
That's the thing. Because so many people have lied.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Like, it's hard to trust, like, anybody with this shit. Like,
and I mean, even when the killer apparently sent in a sliver of the girl's breast from the French girl in the end, the last killing.
Yeah.
That could have been someone just trying to divert,
Yeah.
I would say to people, if you get a chance to listen to the phone call, and it's fucking chilling, man, with that.
I was going to play. I shouldn't do that, though.
I was going to ask you. I totally forgot for you to clip it. He
Yeah.
sounds completely fucking demonic. This voice, it's kind of scary. But
Yeah, I didn't clip that, but I was gonna play the the interview with Douglas Preston. It's like 10 minutes, though. I don't want to bore people with that, but it's
right,
pretty interesting and
yeah,
like
yeah.
what he
The
goes
last,
into. So I will kind of are we kind of toward the end of it?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I've only got literally one more thing. That's all.
okay. I just wanted to add. I think I said this already, but I'll make sure just to make sure like I got that sometime shit kicking in. But when they went to uh, Douglas Preston in the interview though, he said that him and Mario Spezzi wholeheartedly believed all the evidence pointed to Antonio Vinci, who was the little boy in the 1968 murder. They, because of what he said to, if he didn't commit the 74 murder, double murder,
Right.
he could have done the 81 very easily,
Yeah, he could
right?
have done the ones
And
after
he
as
could have
well. Yeah.
done the rest. He could have been helped. Like there's no, but the look on his face when he describes it in this interview, he said when they asked him, he had like this awkward grin, and it was just like you just got to hear the way he describes it. It's pretty chilling, you know. And
Yeah, yeah. He could well know something. I think, or he
he
could
could
be
have,
involved. Yeah.
yeah.
The last
Plus,
thing
his
I got.
father was like a sex maniac addict, and
Yeah,
he had
yeah,
sex with his. I forgot to mention this. So he would take his wife to these sex orgy parties, and he would have somebody would be doing him while he's doing his wife. Fucked
yeah,
up shit, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking yeah,
So
man.
like,
The last thing I got. So Michel Gutierrez was a criminal investigator from 1995 to 2003.
yeah.
And the last kind of thing he dealt with the case, he got a death threat written in capital letters off a computer, and it said, "Every day that goes by, I get closer to you." And like when I fucking saw that, I
Oh
got
yeah.
chills, man. I got chills.
That was with
Yeah,
for
that's
Guitari,
basically,
right?
yeah, Qatari, yeah.
That was
And
sent to
that was
Guitari.
fairly recently, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I say recent, I'm talking 4 or 5 years ago, or what have you. But people need to dive in because we couldn't
Yeah.
get to everything. But
I
honestly,
urge everybody check this out for yourself if you're interested. Like in, I thought this was crazy interesting, man. Like this case.
I've never known a case like it. There's nothing remotely even fucking close to all the like turns and twists and everything.
Yeah.
It's just even today, like I mean, it just blows my mind. Um, yeah, and I don't think it'll ever be solved, which is sad.
Yeah, I
But
don't think so. And even if, like I said, even if it is, I don't think we believe the shit anyway. So
right, yeah, with the evidence. Which brings us on to the films as well,
yeah.
because
So
there were two films come out at the same time.
right.
A bit like fucking The Madman and The Burning, they kind of trying to beat each other to come out first.
Yeah.
Because
And
as soon as that last killing with the French couple, I should say,
yeah.
like the films were being put into overdrive to try and get out and make money. It kind of backfired with the two films, actually.
Yeah. The Killer's Still
Yeah.
Among Us come out first.
Yeah.
So this is his directorial debut. Camillo Tetti, I guess that's how you say his name.
Camillo Tetti, yeah.
He was he was also the producer and production manager. So I'm trying to think. He did. So is that right? He worked on. No, he was a producer and production manager for Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
That's right. Yeah.
Fistful of Dynamite, Sergio Leone film from '72.
Yeah.
That's two that I got down, but
He was producer of Killer Crocodile 1 and 2.
okay.
He also was associate producer on The Dead or Alive, which is a 1972 Crispino Giallo. Yeah, you've got Bird with the Crystal Plumage. He was also the unit manager on Ring of Fear, the 1969 one, with Franco Nero.
Mark, Stuntman Mark, he says the killer or killers is probably dead by now, but I'd still like to see.
That's definitely.
but I'd still like to see who was behind it. Regardless, the case is legit one of the craziest I've ever seen. Definitely, man.
Right. It
Definitely.
really is.
And
Yeah.
I'm still
Yeah.
gonna read more about it. Like it's got me that damn intrigued. Like
And that's why, even if some DNA come to light now that could pinpoint the killer, you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if it's been planted.
you don't know if it's been planted, right?
Yeah, it's
That's what I'm saying.
crazy, man. It's crazy shit. But yeah, this like these two films, I really like them. I know Troy Howarth, I was reading in his book, he dislikes both films, which I was kind of surprised.
Right.
But I was wondering whether Troy, when he did the book, the Blu-rays hadn't come out by then, and whether maybe he would change his mind. But next time he comes on the show, I'm going to try and ask him that.
Yeah.
And see and basically see if he's changed his mind on both films. But
because I know I changed my mind on some of these films. I mean, let's be honest. The case of the Scorpion still, I did like a 180 on that one.
Yeah, I have as well. I've done with the next one that's coming up, not The Killers Among Us, but
the
Monster of Florence. I've done a complete U-turn on that one.
Right.
But these two films are kind of really interesting because they both go different ways.
Yeah.
This one is not so much based on the facts. This one,
this one on purpose does things so it wouldn't get in hot water. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like
right, but then it kind of blows out like the water towards the end where they show.
I mean, the last shot, thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, like simple facts like the killer was left-handed, and he wasn't left-handed. The killer was right-handed.
Yeah.
You know. But in the film, he's left-handed though. But anyway, so Christiana, a criminology student, decides to do her thesis on Il Mostro di Firenze. Her boyfriend doesn't like the idea, nor do the Polizia or her professor, or her professor.
Yeah, professor.
At the college. As she digs deeper into the case, she begins being followed and has strange phone calls. Will she discover the identity of the monster, or will her curiosity become deadly?
Yeah, man. I mean, that pretty much sums it up, to be honest. But yeah, what I like about this one is like it's got kind of a real gritty feel to it. It's even though it's not factually correct, it does get some of the killings like right.
Yeah.
I think the lead actress didn't really go on to do much.
Mariangela.
Yeah.
Mariangela
I thought she was pretty good.
Abrasio. I guess that's how you say it.
Did you think? I thought she was really good in this role. I thought.
Yeah, I love this movie, man. I really do, man. I know it's not perfect. I know it's not the greatest production. I know Ernesto Gastaldi, he wrote the script, but he hates the film, and he said mainly because of the production. We got the Wild Guys in here, man. What's going on? I didn't see.
Hey, what's up, man?
And then let's see. Professor Zundap says, "Killers still among us, bruh. YouTube, I was looking for Among Us live stream. Sus." So I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know what that means exactly, but
no.
I'll take your word for it.
The thing you said about the writing with this one, right? So Ernesto Gastaldi, but the original writer was Giuliano Camamero, who directed The Case of the Bloody Iris. But what's so funny about that is he was going to direct the film, but then dropped out. So basically, the producer Camillo Tetti had to do it instead.
Right.
I think he does a decent job. I don't think it's great, his direction or anything. I just think it's.
I think there's a couple of scenes that look really damn good, though. Like
there's two scenes towards the end that actually bring this film fucking up, like the seance scene, which we'll come on to, and the actual kill at the end of the French couple.
Who did the special effects? It was I think I wrote it. Roberto Pace did the special effects.
Right.
He worked on films like Contraband, Body Count, Zombie, Holocaust, The New York Ripper. So he wasn't.
There's some good pedigree behind the people who made this. Yeah. The cinematographer was Giuseppe Bernardini, and he'd have done.
Say that 5 times real fast.
Bernardini, but yeah. So, but he did Fatal Frames. I know that's nothing to write home about.
Oh man, that's
He
a
did
great movie. That's
the
high
Other
tier.
Hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking high tier. And Fear in the City, the Merlot film.
Right.
But yeah, so basically, she's this criminology student.
Right.
She goes to a professor, and they kind of got this thing going on where they're trying to work out who the killer is. Don't you think she falls in love with that guy a little bit too fucking easy at the
Hey man, that's
start?
how it happens.
Dr. Alec?
That's how it happens. You get it
Man,
in, and they go crazy. You know.
I mean, there's one scene where she's in
Right.
bed with the guy, and you
Yeah.
kind of get to see her topless from behind. I mean, she's a stunning woman, man.
Yeah. But like, what about that opening scene though, man? The shadow hand,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
caressing the. That's some creepy shit, dude. That is creepy.
There's some great stuff, like
There's a shadow hand, like
silhouette
he's like
as well.
caressing her body with his shadow.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's so creepy. But
absolutely, yeah. She kind of gets involved. So they take her to she goes to the morgue, doesn't she, where she sees the dead bodies. Alex shows her the dead bodies, and she's kind of, I don't know where she would get clearance to do that, but because isn't she just a student? She's not actually part of the criminology, kind of forensic
yeah, I didn't
evidence or anything
understand
like
that either.
that.
But I'll give it a pass. Maybe old boy was like, he was trying to get the chonies anyway, right?
Well, yeah. But
So
like I say, this is not fact anyway.
no,
Um,
this is a fictional account for sure.
but there's a kind of a few red herrings in there as well. You've got the Beery character. You've got the perverted kind of gynecologist she goes to see.
You got the
That don't make
satanic.
sense either.
You got the satanic elites involved.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's crazy because she ends up going to this like bar called the Devil's Tavern, where
yeah,
it's well known where all these peeping toms hang out. And she kind of goes there late at night on her own. And she kind of, this one
and that
blonde
was the
woman.
real place, right? That was a real place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was uproar about that when it was being filmed.
They wanted to film at the actual crime scenes, and that was like hell.
I know,
no.
yeah, they were boycotted, I think, by the family members, the victims' members, and I think the magistrate got involved at some point as well.
They wanted to cut the film to shit too, like both.
Well, this one more than the other one did come out, have some kind of theatrical release and did okay. Didn't get his money back.
It didn't get his money back.
Yeah. This one kind of fell into obscurity straight from the start. And that's a shame because it's a decent film, man.
But hey, have you realized this angle, right? So this predates Argento's Stendhal syndrome.
Yeah.
So the connection I'm trying to make here is like, there's a lead woman in crime investigation type work.
Yeah.
This is before Stendhal, though, right?
Yeah. I didn't think of that. Yeah. And she's young.
It was shot in 4 weeks. Teti wanted this film out before Il Mastro di Firenze.
And I think it did get that as well. Yeah, it kind of just about beat it to the. It always reminds me of The Burning and Madman because they were being made at the same time. Both production, knew of each other's films as well.
But the other film is considered superior, like by most people. And I
think it's close, but I would slightly say the other one is slightly better.
As far as the way it's made, is definitely superior. Do I like it more? No, I like this one more. But I think the other film's made better, if that makes sense. But,
no, that makes complete sense. So the whole story point is like she's basically suspects Alex, her boyfriend, of being the killer. And it kind of, back and forth, she goes and see like all these kind of suspects keep appearing. Nothing really comes of it. But I do want to say that there's 2 fucking scenes in this film that are amazing.
Yeah.
So she's got a best friend, right? Her best friend is due to get married. So we all know what happens with women who are due to get married in some of these horror films. They end up dying. She ends up being a victim of the killer, her and her would-be husband, the fiance. Right. And then basically that kind of leads into where they want to go to this seance to find out, to get in contact with this dead victim who will tell them who the killer is. So it basically
Yeah,
leads up to that, which is
that does
fucking
get a little.
amazing.
That does get a little weird though,
It's
don't it?
out, it's out there, but I love it for that. Like, I
Yeah,
absolutely love it for that. And
especially like when the victim's getting cut on the throat, and then the dude, the medium or whatever, you see a cut appear on his neck and shit. And I was like,
I
what
think
the?
that's fucking genius. So basically, the medium kind of tunes in, and
Yeah,
he's seeing the murder as like the most recent murder as it's happening. And like you say, he's got the cut mark with the guy who gets his throat cut.
yeah.
Um, and then she's like, "Shit, is this like? I think this is Alex." Like, So she goes off then and tries to find a
And he's
boyfriend.
watching a Hitchcock film. That's what it was.
Yeah. So you got I like
Supposed to be a Hitchcock film.
Yeah, nod.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But anyway, so she goes back to the movie theater.
Right.
She kind of sees her boyfriend, and then it's said that they're watching at the end they're watching a film called The Killer Is Still Among Us. But what we see is fucking amazing. So you've got the POV of the killer who's watching her and her boyfriend from behind.
We think it's the killer.
Well, I think we can say it is.
Yeah. But like we see that earlier in the film too. He's like watching her and following her, stalking her.
Yeah, because he narrowly misses her, didn't he, in an ambulance as well, and that's kind of puts suspicion on her boyfriend. Yeah,
blamed on her boyfriend that he took an ambulance. So you know, and but yeah, man, I've seen the film. I've probably seen this I don't know 5 times, and I like it every time. I mean, it don't wear out its welcome with me. Did you notice in the scene where she's looking through Alex's stuff, right, in his study, she finds his scalpel kit. There's a picture of MC Escher artwork on the wall. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but I just noticed it. But
I think it like this is suspenseful. It's not. I mean, I disagree with you saying it's better than the other one, but it's still, for me, this would still be a high.
I don't say it's better. I say I like it more.
You like it more, but I would say this is an 8 out of 10.
Okay, I wouldn't give it that much. It's going to get a 7 out of 10 from me.
Okay, yeah, because we kind of touched on this, didn't we, when we did the Forgotten Jolly set?
Yeah, we definitely went in deeper on it. I believe on the Forgotten Jolly.
I don't think we went deep, but I think we did cover it though.
But the best scene, one of the best scenes to me, my favorite scene of the film, I won't say it's the best scene because that's whatever, but is when the killer's trying to get in and the lights go out.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
And she's looking through the I mean, we've seen it in several other Jolly, right? Where you see the big eye through the peephole or whatever.
You see the killer's eye, don't you?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great.
And then her boyfriend turns up a little bit later, doesn't he?
I will say there's more suspense in this one. I don't think you can argue that.
Yeah. No, there is definitely.
The red herrings are amped to the max. It's docudrama style though, the way it's done. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I will say the scene towards the end in the tent with the French couple. Yeah. You do get to see like the killer slicing basically a nipple off, and then he cuts into the genitalia of the woman.
I mean,
and this was like
the vagina out, like you see.
Yeah, this goes further. That scene goes further than fucking New York Ripper. It really does. And you're watching the film the whole way through, and then to see that at the end is kind of jaw dropping because there's no real hint they're going to go that graphic all the way through.
No shit.
We do see some kind of flashbacks here and there of the killings, but I was like, shit. But I mean,
the last scene of the film, the director Teti or whatever, was trying to say that this is a warning to young people and to help the police and all this kind of shit. But I'm like, come on, man. Like,
that didn't.
But I do like the way it ends. It ends ambiguous because this was never really solved, still has never been solved. This is in 86. And it suggests that the killer can be right beside you in the damn movie theater. Could you imagine watching this in the theater in Italy in 86?
You'd be looking around constantly, like,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you're in your with your girlfriend.
I mean, that'd be like scarier than hell back in 86, man. The year
But what
after.
about even being involved in the film, knowing that the killer's fucking at large anyway?
Right.
Who's to say the real killer couldn't have turned on the cast or something? You know, because they're exposing him or what have you, you know?
Yeah. Well,
but
I think
it
he
is a
liked
completely...
it, to be honest.
He probably... Well, he
I think
definitely
he liked
watched
the
the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would definitely have watched the film, no doubt. But I do like the way the other film went as well. It went in a completely different kind of way.
It's more... It's not like even Spezzi. So Spezzi did work on the other film with the director. Cesar Ferrario. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked on the other film with him, and he even said, though, like, this is not the actual facts. Like, he kept it kind of, fictional in a way. But it is truer. I think it's truer to the real case than Killer is Still Among Us.
Which we'll come on to, but, like, so basically you've got Leonard Mann, I should say. He plays Andreas Ackerman. And basically he's like some kind of... what would you call him? Is he like a writer, I would say? Yeah?
He's a writer. He's like Spezzi, is what I thought.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Like maybe journalist, right?
Maybe that's what they were going for. Yeah.
Or a novelist. He's a journalist, novelist, but he's really... What's weird about it, though, is he's like keeps having these visions. So that is a connection between the two films, right?
Yeah.
He keeps seeing shit that the killer's doing, whereas in The Killer Still Among Us, Mary Angela, that woman, she's seeing, or Christiana, I mean, she's seeing what the killer's doing too, which I thought's what that's a coincidence as hell, right? Like,
yeah, considering they were literally being filmed at the same time.
Yeah.
But this one kind of goes like really far out there because he actually believes what he's seeing is true. And he actually hones in on a suspect that he sees popping up all the time. So we get to see, I don't know, watching the film, you presume is the killer. Is this guy who lives at home with his mother. He's got like the childhood trauma of watching his mother have sex. And that's a fucking weird scene as well, Dirk, isn't it? Yeah. Where he goes to see his mother having sex with another man being watched by their father.
Yeah, and they're like trying to touch hands and why it's going on. And
which is...
And then the little boy goes back to his room and he looks at this damn doll. And, like, I don't want to spoil the film. I don't think Mark's seen it, right? I don't think...
Right. No, Mark hasn't seen it.
Most people probably hadn't seen this one.
Yeah. Oh, we can just touch upon it. We don't have to give everything away.
Yeah.
But yeah, this does show... It does show every murder as well in some form. Or the longer version shows every murder.
Yep.
They show some murders more prominent than others. I do love the one shot of the killer in fucking silhouette. It's like a bluey dark sky and he comes out of the fucking like woods, I think it is. Like amazing. I think this is obviously got more money behind this one than the other. And it did play theatrical. But there was such an uproar about it when it came out, the magistrates, the families of the victims.
They even had the same clothes. Like the victims were wearing the same exact clothes, so they had to change that. They was like, no, that's just way too on the nose,
But I am going to say something, well, you might think, what the fuck am I on about? And you might look at me stupidly. Was the fucking soundtrack A Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, man. I thought the same
was,
shit. I thought that same shit. I'm like, this is Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's exactly the fucking same as A Nightmare on Elm Street, apart from the last little.
It's not exact. It's not exactly the same, but it's definitely had to have been inspired from it, right? Like
it's crazy. That's all I had in my mind throughout the whole film when that was coming on.
Yeah,
I think it's exactly right up until the end. It's exactly the same. I do, but
it
just like a
does sound a
slower
lot
kind
like
of.
Nightmare on Elm Street. It's so weird,
I thought I hope Dirk fucking picks up on that because I'm
Yeah.
gonna look stupid if he don't.
No,
But it was
I was thought the
weird,
same
man.
exact
Yeah.
damn. I think anybody that knows like, which most people know Nightmare on Elm Street, but I think anybody watching this film is going to be like, think the
How the
same
fuck
thing.
did they get away with that, man? Like,
Yeah.
well, maybe it worked in
Well,
their favor because it
it's
wasn't
like I
shown a
said,
lot.
they got away with it because it's not exactly the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not note for note or whatever, but
It is crazy. But yeah, I've got that written down. But Andreas, yeah, he kind of stumbles upon the victim's mother at one point during, I think she's in the cemetery or and she kind of like says, "Do you think the murderer will ever be caught?" And he's kind of like, he's thinking, well, hopefully, but but then it's kind of his, like you say, is his like. He becomes fixated on this one character who he believes is the killer, and he sees him at first in the opera house, and then he's seeing all these visions of
he sees him with
all
his
these
mother
killings.
too.
Yeah. So how did you read into that? Do you think because the ending? I'm not going to give the ending away, but I love the ending to this as well. But do you think that was the actual killer? Like, is that meant to be the killer in the case in this film?
Yeah.
Or is it just a dream or just a vision? Or
I took it as he was the killer.
That's what I did as well. Yeah.
I mean, he's having dreams and weird nightmares. He's obsessive about the case. I really feel like it's like Spetsy just threw himself into the film as that character. Like,
I didn't think of that, but he's definitely, must be because he's a writer as well. A bit like what Dario Argento used to do with Four Flight and Green Velvet, and but yeah, I mean, this is definitely a highly polished film compared to the other.
It's better made. I won't say that I like it more. Like I said, Killer them. I like the Killer Still Among Us more. I think, but
it doesn't go as graphic as well. It does show the one scene with the branch, but it doesn't show anything really. You see the woman's legs kind of spread, and
it's still disturbing though.
Disturbing. It's probably I mean, it's probably disturbing anyway on any fucking level. All the stuff that's done in this, in the case.
Mark says they ripped off Charles Bernstein. I guess that's the score for Nightmare.
Right, yeah. Oh man, you can't. There's no way you can like distinguish between the two. Once you hear it, you're thinking that all the way through. You're thinking, is Freddy gonna fucking pop up at any stage? Like, but no, a bit surprised with Troy. Like I said earlier, he really hates on these two films, and I was like amazed, really. I think the performances are superb. I think Leonard Mann, he went on to he did actually do quite a few Jolly. He did Night School as well, which is like an American Jolly. The Death Steps. What's the other one he did as well? He did The Body was one he did in the early 70s. But like I say, it's hard to put a rating on, like, because I'll give this an 8 as well, but I'd probably give this an 8.5 compared to the other one to an 8. But I mean, as a double feature, I think they're superb. Definitely when you kind of look into the case as well. I mean, I've enjoyed this week a lot doing this.
Yeah, man. I've been like, that's all really when I was at work, I just was listening to that audiobook and then coming home and like just reading all I could read about this case. And there's so much more than what we've said. So like, I'm going to say this. I got to say this. This is not the end all be all. Like, don't, like, I know there's people that know way more than we know about this case, but it's very damn interesting.
I mean, once it gets into the point as well where he actually fixates on this guy, you've got to watch the ending, guys, if you've not seen it.
Yeah.
I think it's superb the way they ended it. Like, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But I mean, that's all I've done this week as well. Is like, it doesn't say a lot about my personality really. Watching, like, spending a week studying all these, but it's been strange enough. It's been great because I've learned things that I didn't fucking know, man. And I thought I knew quite a bit about the case, but no, not when you really dive deep.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot more to find out. Mark says the atmosphere is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
It didn't resonate with me the first time I watched it, right? So I gotta get this in. The first time I watched it on this version, right, which is an old bootleg.
Yeah.
And it's the 90-minute version and doesn't show so many of the kills.
Okay.
And I don't know what it was, but I ended up rating it a 5 out of 10.
Well, I did watch both versions, the international and the Italian.
Yeah.
And there's not a whole lot of difference. It's like a 6-minute difference, I know, but I
Ain't
didn't
there
really
like there's a few more flashbacks of the kills in the longer version, I
in
think.
the international.
Yeah. But it was like watching a completely different fucking film on that Blu-ray. It
Right.
really is.
Oh yeah. Well, I haven't seen that bootleg, but I can imagine.
So. Yeah. I would love actually for this to come out on 4K and to get, or even if they bring it out on Blu-ray and get like a commentary and all that, because there's only a trailer I think on there.
Right.
But there's the bootleg of The Killers Among Us when I first saw that as well. I saw this film literally 10, 12 years ago as well, and I always liked it.
Yeah.
So when they come out with the Blu-ray in that set, Jolly set, I was like, "Fuck, man, yeah."
Yeah.
That's my favorite set as well. I think it's in is it 4 or 5? Forgotten Jolly.
That's 4, volume 4.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, mine too. Even though I don't like one of the film.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, yeah, Arabella. I know, man. I love that film. We'll have to do that in fucking detail at some point.
Oh shit.
I know. Yeah, I know Chris wouldn't mind doing it actually, so I wouldn't put Dirk through that again. But yeah, I mean, highly recommend watching these two films together. Watching that documentary on YouTube as well, for sure. The Monsters of Florence, and there's a few others. There's like a BBC one. That was done.
Is that the one you watched? The one that I watched? The BBC one, right? On YouTube?
The hour 35 one, yeah?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that is the BBC one. The BBC one's like about an hour or 45 minutes or something.
Okay.
But I did see the other two, but way back when.
Right.
This is kind of the one I honed in on, like this time, because it was more up to date. But yeah, do you want to mention stuff we got coming up and that as well?
Yeah. So next Saturday, we'll be doing the Eurocrypt on Dead Pit and multi-streaming on here as well. We're going to have Pugwall 316 and Uncle Bill is going to be on with us.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
We're going to cover some British horror. And oddly enough, we haven't covered really any British horror.
Right. Yeah.
So we're going to cover Peeping Tom, 1960, Repulsion, 1965, and The Haunting of Julia, 1977.
That's the one I'm looking forward to the most, to seeing what Pugwall and Uncle Bill think of The Haunting of Julia, because I think that's a great film. Peeping Tom, I'll be up front now. It's never really done anything for me, so I'm going to go in with an open mind and watch it again and see what I think. Repulsion, I think, is a superb film. And then...
Well, I'm ready to check out the Peeping Tom 4K that I got.
Man, there is a new edition. You have to let me know the extras and that as well. Right. But one I'm excited for as well in 2 weeks is we're going to completely fucking break down Opera. Dario Argento.
Yep.
Dirk's got the German edition. He might even get the American edition by then. You never know.
Hopefully. Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
I still haven't got my
I've got that. So.
But I'm going to focus in on the German edition.
Yeah.
And then you're going to focus in on the Severin edition. Right. But like we're going to completely the whole show is going to be about opera. Like I know this is Darren's favorite film. Period.
Right. Yeah.
So,
we're going to completely dissect the film. Like, so be prepared. It's not going to be like your normal like review. This is going to be something like we did with Eyes Wide Shut, which a lot of people seem to like.
Yep.
And yeah, we're going to completely fucking dive into everything, deep dive into everything, all
Right.
things opera. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, I'm hyped
But
for that one.
next week should be good as well with the Dead Pit show as well.
Yeah.
Should be awesome, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. But yeah, man, I guess I appreciate everybody in the chat. If you like what you're saying, hit the like button. If you don't like what you're saying, hit the fuck you button. And, like
awesome to see Stuntman Mac in there as well.
Yeah, man, I was glad to see a lot of people in here, man.
Every one of them are like great supporters, you know.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it worthwhile when you got people, you know, supporting what you do.
Right. And don't forget, like Dead Pit will be on tonight. They're covering 2 gem slashers. They're treasured slashers.
So Terror at 10 Killers 1. What's the other? Oh, is it Last Slumber Party? I think.
Yeah, Last Slumber Party and Terror at 10 Killer.
See, I don't mind Last Slumber Party.
Yeah,
It's not fucking groundbreaking or anything, but it's fun. But Terror at 10 Killer is a little bit of a chore to get through. But that'd be interesting to see what they think. But I pretty much know what they're gonna say with them too. But they're entertaining anyway. So even if they don't like a film, they'll entertain you anyway.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. But I guess we're gonna get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody again. Check into this case, man. If you never checked it out, check out some of the documentaries. I might go ahead and throw a link to the doc that we watched, the documentary.
Oh, man, absolutely. I highly urge people to watch that.
And that book, man, you don't have to read it, but if you listen to it, audiobook, that's how I did it. It was pretty damn interesting, man. They go pretty deep. So, Stuntman, appreciate it, man. He says, fucking great show, guys. Hell yeah, man.
Oh, cheers, man. Cheers.
Appreciate that, dude. But yeah, we're going to get out of here, man, and y'all have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.